Welcome to VisionCast.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of VisionCast. Today I am Supreme Red Ranger, and I'm part of the Alpha Council. And with me I have Kurama, who is the board owner.
Yellow.
Then I have Kamen Rider Decade, who is an Alpha Council just like me.
Yo.
And then I have Chris, aka the Mole, who's a 6th Ranger.
Alright.
Alright. Well, now we will get on with the news with Gold Phoenix Ranger. Take it away.
Ladies and... Alright, thank you for that introduction, Supreme Red Ranger. We have some interesting news going on this week, quite a bit of it. So, as always, I will start off with the board news. The first thing in our biggest announcement, as you've no doubt seen if you've been on the board the last 2 weeks or so, that Ranger Vision has formed an affiliation with MorphinLegacy.com, specifically their podcast, The Grid. We, the staff Ranger Vision, decided that it would be a fun experiment to reach out to some of the media providers of the PR fandom, podcasts and other such, media providers, and see if they'd be interested in an affiliation with Ranger Vision, effectively turning Ranger Vision, or at least one category of the forum, into a hub for various media activity in the fandom. This is something that's not all that covered on places like Ranger Board or Ranger Crew, so we're attempting to turn this into sort of a niche for the board. We've contacted several other podcasts. The Grid of Morphin Legacy was the first to get back to us and agree to the arrangement. We're hoping to get some others. If you have any suggestions for Power Ranger media providers that might be interested in web space on Ranger Vision, please do send a PM to either me, Gold Phoenix Ranger, or to Kurama, and let us know. We will look into it. In relation to that, I will also mention that while a date has not been set, at some point on an upcoming episode of VisionCast, the head of Morphin Legacy, Jay, also known as Cupwater 03, will, with all luck and scheduling, be appearing on an episode of the M&M show with Chriz and the Mole and Supreme Red Ranger. So stay tuned for that. Also, in relation to this, you might have also noticed in our Angel Grove Times section that we have set up a new Ranger Vision constitution that stipulates the new setup of the forum and what the responsibilities of each level of staff are. In addition to Kurama, the board owner, and myself, the head administrator, we've now deemed 4 staff members to be what we're referring to as the Alpha Council. I should say 5 members of the Alpha Council. Sorry, we upped the number. Those include Lieutenant X, Forever Blue, Kamen Rider Decade, Red Mystic Ranger, and Supreme Red Ranger. And effectively, they will serve as a governing council for the board. Any decisions of changes or major things to be decided for the board will go through them to a vote. And being that there are 5 members, of course, any voting will not result in a tie. I serve as the ceremonial head of the quote-unquote Alpha Council, but I don't have a vote on anything they do. I just speak to them and sort of help moderate their debates and whatnot. Beyond that, all other staff have been made the level of 6th Ranger as some were before, which has now the powers of a super moderator level, whereas the Alpha Council is an administrator, but with less power than Kurama or I. So, we've eliminated regular moderators in an attempt to sort of streamline the staff. 6 Rangers, of course, include Chriz, aka the Mole, Hakumen, online, Vendetta Black, online and Vendetta Black being the more reserve staff, and of course Kamen Rider Chalice and Anahai, who are also our technical people. Is it Anahai or Nahi? Anyway, so if you want to read more of that staff setup, it is available at Angel Grove Times. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to PM a staff member. So, moving along, we also, in relation to this, the podcast, I mentioned earlier that we were going to be hoping to have Jay for the podcast. We're also on the Opposite Week podcast, as mentioned in the Ranger VisionCast debate thread down in the VisionCast section, that we're looking to have some debates featuring members of the forum like yourselves. Effectively, what we would require is we will post a topic. The case currently, one of the topics that we've asked is Jason Lee Scott, original Red MMPR Ranger, versus Troy, I don't know his last name yet, the Red Megaforce Ranger, which is the better Red Ranger. And we're looking for effectively one member to argue each side of the debate and record it with Skype, with a sound recorder or whatever you have, send it to us, and that debate will become part of the podcast. That way you can have a voice on the podcast as part of the debate topic. Unfortunately, we've only had one submission so far, that being Leon Royale, who submitted on the side of I believe it was Troy. So we do need someone to hopefully debate him for the next podcast. If you're interested, please post in the thread. There will be additional debate topics coming up. We encourage members to participate in the podcast. It's a great way to get involved. You'll hear your voice here in the podcast. You'll get full credit. It's a fun thing to do. Debate, go back and forth. Fun little thing to do. So please do that. Another fun activity we have coming up on Ranger Vision is the TPIY contest. The Power is Yours. The grand return for Season 2. This season's theme is the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers and is based on an adaptation of either Go Sager, Go Kaiser, or a combination of the two. While the entry period is already completed, we do encourage you to support your favorite team, read their chapters, give them feedback, help them out. We have a lot of great entrants. It should be a really fun contest, so do check that out. In addition, another fun activity that you can still participate in coming up here is the set of the season. We previously had Avatar and Signature of the Week or Month competitions, as you might have known. Well, Red Mystic Ranger is in the process of bringing that competition back in a new format. This time, the goal is to create both an Avatar and a Signature, but rather than on a weekly or monthly basis, the sets will be compiled and submitted over the course of a quote-unquote season, effectively making this a quarterly competition or every 3 months. Details about that can be found in the relevant thread in the Trials of Maranthius section, so do check that out. That's all the board news we have for right now. So moving along to the Power Rangers news, the first thing I'd like to mention is the new Legacy Megazord has been released. It's available exclusively from Toys R Us, currently at a price of $60 American, $59.99. I've watched a few reviews of it myself. It looks like a pretty cool toy. It's slightly smaller in size than the 93 model, but it's apparently fairly similar to the 2010 re-release model. Some of the parts of it are metal, and it generally seems to be a really cool toy. So do pick that up if you want to have your exclusive Legacy Megazord there. In addition, it was announced that for the upcoming Power Rangers Monopoly game that has previously been mentioned, one of the playing pieces, in addition to Goldar, which was the winner of the voting that the fans got to vote for, the Power Rangers trademark Lightning Bolt will be another playing piece. So that's fun. So keep an eye out for those games, again, coming out over the course of the summer. And in the months between then and now, they will be revealing the remainder of the playing pieces for the game. The third thing I did want to bring up for the Power Rangers news is that a large number of Power Ranger actors appeared at the Lexington Comic-Con this past weekend. So if you get a chance, head on to YouTube and check out some videos from that. There were a lot of Ranger actors there, including, but not limited to, Jason David Frank, David Yost, Jason Font, Aaron Cahill, Paul Schreier and Jason Narby, Bulk and Skull were there. Serena Vincent was present. I know there are a number of others that I can't recall off the top of my head, but a lot of Power Ranger actors were present there. So I'm sure there's a lot of great video of events going on there. So do check some of that out. The final thing I would like to bring up Power Rangers news, and this is a semi-Megaforce thing, so if you're iffy about Megaforce spoilers, you may want to tune out. Several photos have been leaked from the filming set of Super Megaforce for next season. The two main photos that have been leaked are one of some of the stuntmen standing around, one of which is wearing a green boot. And it's been speculated like crazy about this green boot, but the consensus seems to be that it's the green boot of a Gokai Green. And that therefore somehow the Gokai suits are being worked into Super Megaforce, and that this is some proof of that. The second image was of the Wild Force Black Ranger, the Iron Bison, the suit on top of a scaffolding lift. So confirming that Wild Force is being involved as well. So this should be very interesting to see where the Super Mega Force season goes and how we get more information regarding some of the returns and whatnot coming up. So that's a lot of fun. In Sentai and Toku news, Kyoryu Cyan of Kyoryuger will officially appear in Brave 06, which is premiering this weekend. So give that a watch and then downloadable encode or whatever have you if you have time, if you can get it somewhere. Also coming soon is a new season of Akiba Ranger, the parody Sentai season. Some of the suits have been updated. There's been some slight changes to the Rangers, but it's still going to be as parody and as hilarious as ever. That's scheduled to premiere on April the 6th, so do check that out if you have a chance to see it somewhere, subbed or whatever. The final thing is that Kamen Rider Battle Ride War, the first ever Kamen Rider game for PlayStation 3, will be released in Japan on May 23rd. Masahiro Inoue is confirmed to reprise his role as Decade, and Kazuhisa Kawahara is reprising his role as Apollo Geist. So that should be pretty fun as well. And that last news bit is courtesy of our member Luca Milfi, so we do thank you for that. With that, that's all the news that's fit to report for this podcast. Thank you for the chance. Back to you, Supreme Red Ranger.
And thank you for that wonderful news. And now we have a very new special section of the show for you. It's called the M&M Show, where we interview staff members. This week we have Kamen Rider Decade.
I was banging 7-gram rocks, that's how I roll. Winning, I had 1 gear, go, epic. Winning, are you bipolar? I'm bi. Winning, win here, win there, win, everywhere, winner.
Hello and welcome to a new segment on the podcast. This is the M&M Show. 1M stands for, pointing at you, my co-host.
Hey,
It stands for,
Mike.
there we go, and Mole. This is the Mike and Mole Show, in which we interview staff members or any other special guests. Today joining us is Kamen Rider Decade of the Alpha Squad.
Hello.
So, shall we begin?
Let's begin.
Question number 1 for you, KRD. What got you into being a Power Ranger fan?
In all honesty, Green with Evil. I mean, let's face it, that is one of the best, if not the best, arc in all of Power Ranger history.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as many people know, I am older, one of the older members, so I wasn't exactly a kid when Power Rangers hit, but I was still young enough to appreciate Power Rangers and to have fun with it.
You weren't exactly a kid when the Roman Empire was built.
Oh, burn. But yeah, Green with Evil sealed it for me. As soon as that arc hit, I was like, yes.
Nice, I do like that arc.
Yes,
And
I did
I'm
too.
somewhat of a martial artist, so I have an interest in martial arts. So that was kind of cool too, to see a somewhat kid show that focused on martial arts. People fighting with martial arts. I thought that was cool.
Cool.
Nice. Very nice. Question 2. What is the significance of your username?
The significance of my username?
Yes.
Really no significance, aside from I like Kamen Rider Decade. That's that, and it's a Power Ranger board. Not a lot of people at the time that I changed my name to Kamen Rider Decade. Not a lot of people were using Kamen Rider names. So I thought it'd be kind of unique and kind of stand out. Little did I know the owner of a Power Rangers board was named Decade. So, oops, oh well.
Yep, we don't get a lot of Kamen Rider names on our board. Oh wait, yes we do.
We do now.
Yep, we do
Yeah.
now. But
Yep.
no, moving on. What is your favourite season of Power Rangers?
My favorite season would probably have to be Morphin. I mean, come on, season 1, as I said before, was the Green with Evil arc that got me pretty much as a solid fan of Power Rangers. So yeah, that has to be my favorite season.
Very nice.
I think that's the popular choice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. People, mostly every Power Ranger fan said that the first season is their favorite. And speaking of favorite, why not we go with least favorite season of Power Rangers?
Least favorite?
Yes.
If we're going by seasons I've actually seen, it's tough. It would be a toss-up between Mystic Force and Operation Overdrive. I actually saw most of Mystic Force when I could actually be bothered to try to follow it. Operation Overdrive, I really haven't. I saw the Once a Ranger, and that was enough. So yeah, between those two, those were both pretty terrible seasons.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Rem being horrible. Now, a question from me.
Mm-hmm.
Which member on our board do you just absolutely hate? I mean, you just absolutely detest this guy. You just want to see him banned, locked up in prison, murdered in a ditch somewhere. Which one?
Does it have to be a current active member on the board?
Yes.
Darn.
If it helps, you may choose any golden phoenix you desire. I'm guessing he chooses not to answer that question.
No.
Which means on to yours.
All right. How did you discover Ranger Talk / Ranger Vision?
Actually, I was looking for Power Rangers RPGs on the interwebs, and that's where I ended up, was at Ranger Talk, and I've been there ever since.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was looking for a fan fiction site, so that's how I got involved with.
Cool. Nice. And so looking at Power Rangers, which villain did you like?
My favorite villain? You talking main villains?
Any kind of Power Ranger villain.
Ooh. My favorite main villain would probably have to be Rancic. I loved his concept, and I love that he got a full arc. You know, he came full circle. I don't think you really see any Power Ranger villain ever come full circle and have a fully completed arc like that I can remember anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rancic. He's my favorite villain.
Rita and Zed?
But they didn't really have a full circle completed arc. They were kind of left in a friggin' space RV to rot. And then they got hit by a Z-Wave and turned into human. It's like, yeah, way to kill them, Zordon, because if you think about it, they were in outer space when they were turned into humans. Wouldn't that instantly kill them?
They danced away. They were okay.
Oh, yeah. And now, which is your least favorite Power Ranger villain?
Thrax. Thrax sucked. It was a terrible concept from the beginning, and just it made no sense. His existence made no sense, and he was a terrible, terrible villain to boot.
Fair enough. I wouldn't even argue with that one.
Me neither.
But what are your hobbies outside of Ranger Vision? What does KRD do on his spare time?
Watch videos on the internet, play video games, watch movies. I know what I feel. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, pretty much, stuff that any normal person would do. Just hang out with friends, talk to you guys on Skype.
Cool.
And I do play piano, so I try to keep up with that, although haven't really in the recent days, but I should. And I used to do martial arts, so I do stretch out once in a while, and I'm not very good right now, but it's fun to just pull out once in a while and practice.
But you don't need to be good at martial arts. You have a piano. Cartoons not teach you anything. Just drop it on them.
Very funny.
Well, very nice. Um, Besides Power Rangers, what other franchises do you like?
Well, I love Super Sentai, the TV
Mhm.
show that spawned Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Kamen Rider. I wish I could see more of it. I just haven't seen much Kamen Rider. Other franchises. I don't watch a lot of TV, so there's really not much that other franchises that I do like. Ones that I've seen before that, in the past, like Buffy. I loved Buffy when that was on. I like a lot of the older shows. I'm a kid of the 80s, so to me, it's like the 80s programs were really, really good, and you just don't see a lot of stuff of that caliber these days.
Well, that's cool.
Yep. And fair enough. Which means I'm gonna ask you, who is your favorite Power Ranger?
My favorite Power Ranger of all time would have to be Adam Park.
Nice choice. You win $1 million.
Woot?
It's wrong, as you didn't say Tommy. I'm sorry, you've been bamboozled.
Tommy's overrated.
So is Adam. But no.
Speaking of Power Rangers, who is your least favorite?
Ooh, that's tough. My least favorite Ranger. Again, of the seasons that I've seen, God, it's I would say tie between Jaden and Nick. They're just no, they were terrible Red Rangers in my opinion. I think Jaden had the better show, but they're both kind of terrible.
I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Nope.
And now the final question from us before we go over to the questions from the members. I know for a fact, KRD, you're heavily involved with RPGs, running the RPG section. What do you actually look for in an RPG yourself?
Like in terms of an RPG, I'm thinking about joining.
Yeah, like when you're creating it or when you're joining it, what type of thing do you look for in the game itself?
Well, first I look at the summary, I look at the story, see if the story is unique, if it's interesting to me, catches my eye. Also, I look to see if the idea's been done before, and if it has, what makes this RPG stand out from the other ones that have tried to do it, and if I think they're doing it well. Do I think they're doing it well? Because one of the hardest things to do with an RPG is you come up with your concept, but executing that concept well, especially if you're trying to do crossover type stuff, is really, really hard to do. And so, I sit there, I look at it, and I say, well, is there anything there that'll draw me in? Is there that one spark of creativity, of uniqueness that's like, no one's ever tried to do it that way before, or that's kind of an interesting thing. And so, I look for that. It's always about uniqueness and creativity in the mind of the person creating the RPG is what I look at.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very.
Yep, which means we're done with our questions. Which means, my beautiful co-host, would you like to dig into the members' questions?
Sure, of course. The first question we have is from Mackenzie Minza, and she asks, "What is your opinion about the new Power Rangers season, Megaforce?" Without
Well,
giving any spoilers, because my
Because of-
co-host Mole
yes.
hasn't seen it yet.
It's not going to be many spoilers because I've really only seen the first episode. Of course, I've gotten plenty of spoilers from Gold Phoenix Ranger.
Of course.
But well, I think it's okay. I've heard it's mellowed out a little bit, so I do want to go back and watch the other episodes that have aired thus far. Like I thought the first episode was a good episode, but I thought they tried to harken back to MMPR a little bit too much with the references. But on the whole, I do enjoy it. As I've said multiple times before, so far Saban has managed to do what the Sentai could not with Ghost Ager, and that is make the Rangers likable. Because that was the one thing that completely turned me off to Ghost Ager, was the fact that 10 to 15 episodes in, I absolutely hated the Rangers. They got on my every last nerves. But with Megaforce, they're interesting characters, actually, and they're all unique characters, and I look forward to seeing where that goes. So yeah, on the whole, so far, not a bad series.
Cool.
I look forward to seeing how they integrate Gokaiger into it. That's what I want to see, how they're going to bring all that together.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it myself.
Yep, I'm looking forward to when it airs over here with Megaforce. But the next question comes from one of the moderators here, Orange Falcon. He asks, has Power Rangers affected your life over the how has Power Rangers affected your life over the many years it has had?
Not much until the past few years, when I actually started to become friends with a lot of people I met on Ranger Talk, and well, now I'm essentially an administrator on a Power Rangers board, so in the most recent years here, it's affected my life quite a bit, because it's given me a lot to do and given me a lot of new friends, and for that I'm grateful, because I have met a lot of good people.
Cool. The next question we have, and forgive me for bouching your name, but I have a hard time pronouncing this. Career Wet Red. This person asks, besides Decade, which other Kamen Rider series are your favorites?
Actually, Decade's the only one I've actually seen. I've seen movies here and there. I saw a Kabuto movie. I do like Kabuto. He's widely regarded as the God Mod writer, because he's kind of God modded. I like Fies. I'd like to see some of that series. In terms of looks, I actually do like the looks of a lot of Blade's suits. They actually look pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of the look of the new one, Kamen Rider Wizard. I've seen some episodes of that, and he's pretty cool. Not a huge fan of his henshin belt, though. The singing, belt should not sing at me. And I've seen some of O's, actually, which is an interesting series. But yeah, Decay's the only one I've actually seen completely through, and I saw it in tandem with Shinkenger, so I got pretty much the whole story there, and I've seen all the movies, so I kind of know, for the most part, the complete saga of Decade. So yeah, that's probably my favorite series, is Decade.
Very nice.
And nice, but kind of weird, because the question was which other series besides Decade.
Yeah.
And you answered
Then the
Decade.
answer would be none, because I've not seen any other ones. Although, as being a musician, I'm kind of interested to see Kamen Rider Hibiki, because that's a completely musically themed Kamen Rider series, and that kind of intrigues me.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
And now I'm going to ask you a question from Mackenzie Minzer. I believe. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now, I know you must get this a lot. How would you be if you meet anyone you think never be met?
You actually put that on the list?
I made damn sure that was on the list.
I don't even know how to answer that, because I don't know the question.
I think what she meant was, well, who would you like to meet any of the Power Rangers? I think.
And like, how would I act if I met someone
Yeah.
famous I never met?
Yeah.
Depending on who it is, I'd probably be giddy as a schoolgirl. Like, especially if I meet like JDF, I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like so like geeking out. To relate to that, actually, I recently went to Emerald City Comic Con and I met Ray Park, which was amazing. He's an awesome guy, and inside I was completely like fangasming. I was nerding out because I was like, oh my god, it's Ray Park. But yeah, so I guess on the outside I'd probably not be nerding out. In fact, when I get that way, I'm more reserved. I'm more kind of shy and stuff. But inside, yeah, completely nerding out.
Nice. I like that question.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Our next question comes from one of the Alpha Councils, Red Mystic Ranger, and
Oh, boy.
he puts the Screw, Marry, and Kill game question. Vita, Kelsey, and Tanya. And he said that feel free to substitute Screw with Kiss or something like that.
Vita, Kelsey, or Tanya?
And Tanya, yeah.
Mhm. This might be in bad taste, but I'm going to say kill Tanya, screw Kelsey, marry Vita. Because let's face it, Vita's a witch. So if I'm going to marry anyone, it's going to be someone who's going to make my life easier.
Take
Nice.
the easy way out. Nice. I like it.
Besides, also being a witch and being, all magic-y and stuff, she has the potential to, give me superpowers and stuff with her spells.
Can I also just say, we here at Ranger Vision do not support the views of Kamen Rider Decade.
Right.
How's that for an ironic turn of events? But yeah,
And allow me to remind you, Mole, who is your boss again?
I believe it's someone called Kurama.
Well, yes, but still.
And now the next question comes from Question, who questions the question of... Sorry, I just really want to do that pun, I don't know why. But he asks, what is your favourite thing about me? And before you answer, he means about him, not me personally.
Right.
So what is your favourite thing about Question?
Well, as we all know with Question, he can be a dick sometimes. He likes to, argue for argument's sake, kind of take the piss out of stuff, and sometimes some members might think he takes it too far, but my favorite thing about Question is the fact that despite all that, he knows most of the time when not to take it too far. Even though some other members might think it's too far, if you think about it, it's really not. It's just he does it for the annoyance, and he does it to, just for argument's sake, just to have discourse. Because I've seen on more than one occasion where certain discussions will take Question to an absolute line he will not cross. Despite what you may see on the outside, Question has morals to a degree, and he will not cross. He will not cross certain lines, and he knows when he's taken things far enough or too far. And if you're not mean to him, and if you just go up and talk to him or ask him nicely, and you just say, "Hey, can you please stop this?" He'll stop it. It's when you try to order him around, and when you try to get in his face about it, that's when he'll bite back. But if you're just a normal person to him, he'll listen to you. He'll do stuff, and that's what I like about him, is the fact that he has those kinds of standards, even though people don't think he does.
And nice. That was a
And that's
nice
not meant as
answer.
an insult to you, Question.
Yeah, that was a nice answer.
Yeah, very
Personally,
nice.
I would have said his hair.
No, I would totally agree with Kamen Rider Decade on that one. Alright, and now we have the last question from Mackenzie Minza again. She wrote like 3 questions. The last question is, what do you think about the upcoming Every Power Ranger seasons that will be dubbed from Japanese products? Do you think that they would make a great impression on Power Ranger fans?
If done well, any season could make a good impression on a Power Rangers fan. I look forward to seeing what they do with Go Busters, because that season in Super Sentai had such a unique concept behind it, and I love the look of the suits. I kind of wonder what they're going to do with it. As far as the current season, Kyoryuger, I have a feeling that Saban is probably going to use this as an excuse to basically rehash MMPR. Because, I mean, if you've seen the suits, yeah, they're like a mixture of MMPR and Dino Thunder, so I could see them totally going back to that. And I could see him pulling Tommy out of his ass. So, but yeah, if it's done well, it will leave an impression. If it's done poorly, it'll leave an impression. It'll just be a bad impression.
Right.
But yeah, I do see the potential, and like I said, every season has a potential. It just comes down to whether or not that potential can be drawn out.
Nice.
Very nice.
And I think that's the end of our questions.
Yes.
I would like to say thank you to the members for asking your questions.
Yeah, thank you. Those were very good questions.
I look
Indeed.
forward to seeing what you do next time.
Yeah,
And
thanks for having me, guys.
yep, and I would also like to say thanks to you, Comrade at Decade, for appearing on the first ever M&M show.
Not a problem. I look forward to seeing what other guests you get on the show.
Yeah, same here. Can't wait for the many guests that we'll have.
Yep. But see ya.
Talk to you guys later.
I was banging 7 gram rocks, that's how I roll. I have 1 gear go.
I hope you enjoyed that. And now on with discussions with Kamen Rider Decade.
Alrighty then. So this week's discussion topic is going to be relationships in Power Rangers, specifically whether we think they're a good idea or bad idea, and whether we think Saban and or Disney have done a good job with them. So let's kick things off with the relationship that, well, everybody pretty much expected and were sorely disappointed in. Let's go with Tommy and Kimberly. What do you guys think? Good, bad? You think it was handled well?
I kind of touched upon this in the last podcast, and by kind of, I mean a lot. I did not like this relationship that much. I mean, it was kind of cool to have one there, but at its heart and at its core, it was always superficial. It was like, yay, we have great hair in common, let's get together. Or it's like, oh, I know you just tried to kill all my friends, but for sure, let's go fuck. And it's like, it didn't have any depth to it. And especially the ending of it too. It's like, ugh, the relationship was poorly done. That's my opinion.
Fair enough. Kurama.
I haven't really gone through and watched every single episode of MMPR to actually have much of a say on the topic, specifically towards Tommy and Kimberly, but they were meant for each other.
And Mikey?
Yeah, I enjoyed the romance between Tommy and Kimberly. I thought it was a good element for the show that even as Rangers you can find love with each other. I just was very disappointed at the end with that letter that Kimberly wrote Tommy of breaking up with him. I thought that was very poorly done on her part, and I was saddened at how the relationship ended that way.
You mean the fact that she Dear John'd him?
Yes.
The letter was a complete load of bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That letter was like, screw you, I found someone better, bye. Basically.
But don't worry, you'll like him.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the replacement relationship. Bull's personal favorite, Tommy and Kat.
Again, definitely touched upon that in the last one. I mentioned the fact I thought it was a much better relationship as they started out with friends, they had some depth to them, and then they slowly got together. When Kimberly broke up with Tommy, Kat tried to help him over it. Boom, relationship. Kat was like a more grounded person than Kimberly. She stood on her own merits, but at the same time, the relationship was able to be felt, and it felt like a deeper relationship because both people could go off, be their own person, and still have this connection. It felt, for lack of a better term, real.
Fair enough. Would anyone else like to weigh in? Kurama or Supreme Red Ranger?
No comment.
I thought that the relationship between Tom and Kat was all right. I mean, they at the end of their season was Turbo. I thought their relationship built to a peak and was very firm, and I totally enjoyed it better than Tommy and Kimberly's relationship because as Chris, aka the Mole, said, they were both their own people and were like rooted very well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I actually liked the Tommy Cat relationship better than Kimberly. And as Supreme Red Ranger over there touched upon, I did not like how that relationship ended. But this discussion is not supposed to be to go through every single relationship in every Power Ranger series. I just thought I'd start off with a couple of well-known ones and get some opinions. Let's get into the meat of this discussion. Do you guys think that relationships are a good thing or a bad thing in Power Rangers? Do you think they work?
I think they're a good thing because let's face it, most of them are teenagers. Teenagers are hormonal little bastards. They want to screw everything in their place. Which I'm sorry, if I was watching a show about a teenager that didn't have a relationship, I'd be like, the fuck. But if we were, and same thing with the adults and stuff. So it works. It brings some sort of normality or organic nature to it. It's like even on Ninja Storm when Disney took over and people argued Disney weren't going to do relationships and they did Tori and Blake, it felt like a sweet relationship, and as a result it made those two characters connections and the feelings that we as a viewer felt more grounded, more real, more just something. It wasn't like, okay, I should like this guy because he plays sports, or I like this guy because he can, I don't know, fucking balance a plate on his nose, or whatever special abilities they have this time. It's a case of they have a relationship. I can feel the love tonight without quoting Lion King, as I realized I was saying that, but still, you know what I mean? It feels more organic. And that's a good thing. It makes characters more real if they can have relationships. Just like it makes characters more real if you have some that don't have relationships. It's that balance. It makes Power Rangers go from being just a show with bad stereotypes to being a show with bad stereotypes that also has some real stuff in it, which that's always bad.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to do a show geared toward kids. You don't. I think all too often, especially for kids programming, they tend to shield kids from reality. And I think showing relationships and things that come about because of relationships is a good thing, and it's something that should not be shielded from the younger generation.
Can I just say I'm getting something in my ear? I think someone may be joining us.
Yes, I totally agree with that, Mole.
Let's see, and I think he has. Are you there, Gold Phoenix Ranger?
Hello, I'm here. Sorry.
He joined us midway through the discussion. Hello, Gold
Hi.
Phoenix Ranger. We are talking about relationships.
Yes, I know more than I apologize for missing this. I was here initially and had to run out to help my father with something, but I have returned.
Good.
Well, what was the current couple we were discussing?
We're not going through each couple. We're just giving our thoughts and opinions about relationships in general at this point. Like,
Yeah, and
So
right now,
basically, I wasted my time running up that whole long list of all the important couples in PR that I wrote up the last time we were going to do this topic.
you can still use it if you want to use them for examples. But the current question is, do you think relationships are a good thing or a bad thing in Power Rangers? Do you think they're necessary?
I think they're necessary as long as they're not forced. Because if you look at something like
that's not a relationship, that's rape.
We here at Rangers.
I mean the writing, smartass. In fact, we're talking about couples that naturally work out, like couples like Tommy and Kim that you believe could be together, or Jen and Wes. Some of them seem natural and you believe they could be together. Other times it feels like the couple was kind of put there even though it wasn't like meant to be there, and it can be kind of awkward. In situations like that, I think it's best not to, only put in a relationship if it's something that A, seems natural, and B, fits in with the context of a given season. So that you don't have something that's kind of out of nowhere that doesn't make sense. I agree. When it's good, it definitely enhances the season a lot. There's more drama involved. It raises stakes, emotionally speaking. I think as long as it's a believable relationship and it's not, it seems natural. It flows naturally. It doesn't seem there's chemistry between the actors. It doesn't seem like it's being forced. I say yes, definitely go for it.
Very good, very good. Kurama.
Yeah. They're good in some seasons. I think that some of the seasons probably could have done without relationships, and they could have just been full blown, we're gonna kill the shit out of the enemy seasons. And not worried about the lovey dovey crap. More specifically with I would say Time Force, but Time Force sort of starts off with a love story. It's a season where I wouldn't want to see any sort of relationship would definitely have been RPM. RPM is a series where it's in the future. It's fucking. There's like no one left, and they're battling just to stay alive. I wouldn't even bother putting a relationship in that series, even though we did actually get a couple of good ones.
Right. Fair enough.
Indeed.
Supreme Red Ranger.
I have to say it depends on what Kurama said. With the relationships, like in some seasons it does work, but in others it feels like it's just forced on it. And with the relationships, like Chris, aka the mole, said, it has to have that realism to it. It has to feel real. Like it can't feel like that the writers just want to force it on because it will make good drama. Like it's
I-
has to flow.
Like relationship for relationship's sake.
Yes.
Yeah. I think a great relationship, if they actually went through with it, would have been Tommy and Haley.
Yes.
For that season, it would have been an excellent relationship to go with, even though they already had Trent and Kira.
I'm gonna say no, no, no. He belongs to Cat. No. Bad board owner. Bad.
Well, technically, she was supposed to show up, but that never happened.
Yeah. So was Kimberly meant to show up. But if we go by Power Rangers Zeo, he ends up back with Cat because they have ancestors, and I know the episode itself may not be canon, but it's canon as long as it means he ends up with Cat.
In your mind.
In my mind. Thank you, my little buddy.
Yes, follow-up question to that would be relationship with another ranger or relationship with a non-ranger? Which do you guys think is better? Or more appropriate, I should say.
I think a relationship with another ranger would probably put more of a strain on the team itself, while it may also be good. Because if they had a relationship with someone that's not on the team, they've always got to look out for them and defend them. Whereas if it's a team thing and it's just two rangers on the same team, they can always look out for each other and not have to worry about that extra person outside of the team.
See, I'm going to say something which wouldn't happen, I know. I'd like to see in Power Rangers a couple, like a man and a woman, or obviously or something like that, where like the man's a ranger or the woman's a ranger, whichever one, and the other one's not a ranger. And I'd like at some point either the evil ranger or the main villain of that season to Green Goblin it and just fucking kill him. I'd like to see that. I mean, yeah, okay, it's Power Rangers, that may not happen, but it would be cool. Like, imagine, for example, where with the hypothetical one Kage gave of Tommy and Haley. Imagine if those two had actually started to date in the season, and then Zeltrax had actually like thrown Haley from the Megazord and she died. That would have just been so like, oh, that's so awesomely badass and so dramatic. It would kind of work. That'd be some pretty good storytelling.
That would be brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. GPR, Supreme Red Ranger, what do you guys think on the issue?
I believe that it would create more drama if one of them was a ranger and the other one was not. And but personally, I believe that if they're both rangers, then it would be a lot better because just as Kurama said, they would have to look out for the other person if they're not if the other person isn't a ranger. And but with being that said, with them being both rangers, it could cause a little conflict in the group if they like break up or something. So either or, but mainly I believe that they should date a ranger.
Fair enough. Gold Phoenix Ranger.
I can agree with that. Something based on, let's look at Ranger history. What are some of the best relationships? Tommy Kim, both Rangers. Tommy Cat, both Rangers. West Jen, both Rangers. Taylor Eric, both Rangers. All the best couples have been Rangers on both ends of it. Whereas most of the relationships of a Ranger and a non-Ranger, i.e. Zach Angela, Annie, and the girl at the flower shop, I can't remember that character's name.
Zane and Astromeda was pretty cool.
True, but she became a Ranger later. It still counts.
But she wasn't dating him when she became one.
You don't know that. Just because it didn't appear doesn't mean they weren't dating.
You have Dominic and Fran.
Dominic and Fran. What's the
Jack
one I'm thinking of
wife.
here? What's that?
Jack and his wife. Can't remember her name.
Wait, Jack had a wife?
Didn't he marry her after he quit SPD?
It was never mentioned that he married, if you're referring to Z.
No.
No, you're referring to the other girl. It's not mentioned that they were married, I don't think. It's mentioned that they were dating, but not married, I don't think. But yeah, those two. And then, what's that other one? There was one other one. The hell was it? Whatever, you get the idea. Basically, when relationships involve a Ranger and a non-Ranger, they tend not to be as exciting or dramatic. And they tend to get predictable because it's, oh, that person's in danger, another Ranger has to go save them. I mean, I think it would be interesting if, like, let's say the woman was a Ranger and the guy was not. That would be an interesting dynamic to see. But the whole guy is a Ranger and the hero and has to save the damsel in distress. It's not a Ranger. It's been done to death. And I think it's kind of boring and stale. I don't think that's very good. Whereas if they're both Rangers, they have to be concerned about each other getting hurt in battle. They're worried about protecting each other, losing each other. It's a lot more dramatic. It's a lot better, in my opinion.
I think some of that may be how it's written itself, because the characters that aren't Rangers are not given as much time and effort in something like Power Rangers as much as the Rangers are, because the Rangers are the one to sell the merchandise. Whereas if you look at other shows, like if you look at like comic books, or you look at like TV shows, for example, I know Buffy, where she dated people who weren't super powered at one point or another, though he turned out to be, so that time kind of counted. But still, it's a case of their supporting cast are better written and feel more three-dimensional. If Saban made the standalone characters as interesting as Billy was when he didn't have his powers, then the relationship would be fucking awesome. Even if they got kidnapped now and again and stuff like that, it would still be awesome because they would have more depth to the character other than just being a piece of like eye candy or a piece of plot convenience.
Well, Saban did do that with extra characters early on in Power Rangers. I point you to Bulk and Skull.
They had no other personality besides show up, pretend to bully people, and then basically have some sort of slapstick comedy. They got some later on, but that was only because they had like three or four seasons before they actually got personality.
Yeah.
Most of the extra characters, they're not written as well. It's like Bulk and Skull, they were in 4 or 5 seasons of Power Rangers. Were they as interesting were they as interesting as Tommy or Adam or Billy, who were all characters in the same time period as them?
True.
Right.
But the other couple I couldn't remember, Jason and his girlfriend from the end of Zeo.
Yeah. I can pull it up in 2 seconds.
Is that really what you want to say during the conversation about relationships? I can pull it up in 2 seconds.
I put you to Lightspeed Rescue. One Green Ranger, Joe Rawlings, and or I think his name was Joe, wasn't it? And Angela Fairweather. Fairweather was the person who created the tech. She wasn't actually a Ranger, and they ended up getting married by the end of the season.
They did. That was a pretty good. That was probably one of the better Ranger to non-Ranger relationships they've done. But in all fairness, she rejected him through 90% of the season before she finally accepted him and got in a relationship. And so they didn't get a chance to. They didn't really get a chance for it to be boring because they weren't together except until like a few episodes before the end. So.
Right.
Yep.
But then you also have Ziggy and Dr. K.
Ziggy Dr. K that's another good one. And again, same difference is they weren't in a relationship until the last like 2 to 3 episodes because Kay wouldn't admit her feelings for Ziggy.
Right.
Emily, that was her name. Thank you.
Yes, you're
Jason
welcome.
and his girlfriend Emily from the end of Zeo that never showed up in the Turbo movie and we never heard from again.
It's like, ironically, we would have got a relationship exactly like you'd wanted if, again, Saban had wrote it better, or written it better, however you want to say it, because I point you to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as the running joke that people keep mentioning if the Rangers are dicks, that keeps being mentioned on our shout box and in discussions and shit. Because Kimberly and Tommy were dating. Tommy loses his powers. The Rangers just fucking stop hanging around with him. That's a perfect chance for someone who's not powered, who's had character development, to stay in a relationship with a Ranger. That would have been interesting to see Tommy and Kim's relationship a lot more when Tommy's not the Ranger and knows exactly what the fuck she's getting herself into every day. That'd be interesting. But no, they were like, you don't have powers anymore? Okay, fuck off, new guy.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
And then they brought him back and was like, yeah, we're going to give you powers again.
Yep.
And suddenly everyone was like, oh, welcome back to being our friend.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Power Rangers has a tendency to do that earlier on anyway. It's like End of Zeo or stuff like that. Jason had the Gold Ranger powers and stuff, and the second he lost them, he disappeared and went off with Kim and stuff when they were scuba diving and all that. We didn't see him again. It's not like the Rangers made a constant effort to suddenly hang around with Jason because he lost his powers. They fucking completely wrote him out. What the fuck?
Yep.
Right.
But since we're talking about Saban and Disney, let's move on to the next topic of who do you think did it better, Saban or Disney?
Disney.
Fair enough, Mole.
I hate to say
Saban.
I hate to say this because but Disney. The only reason I say Disney is Saban gave us the best relationship, in my opinion, of Tommy and Kat. However, they also gave us a lot more bad relationships, whereas the ones in Disney, some of them were average, some of them were good, but there was no relationship in the Disney ones that really struck me as being like, oh, this one's kind of bad, like there was a couple in the Saban ones. Like, I believe in the list God Phoenix Ranger gave us, apparently Jaden was meant to be dating, was it Mia?
Yeah, there was hinting and some behind the scenes mention that Jane and Mia might have had a thing going, but it was never really pushed or confirmed at all.
Ah, okay, so it's just speculation. But
It was
that-
speculation that there was supposed to be more to that never got to the screen.
yeah, but it's still, even without that one, the Saban ones, a lot of them just, they didn't have the same stuff as the Disney ones. Like Blake and Tori, wonderful couple. Kira and Trent, I kind of like the fact she dated him before, or what was interested in before he was a ranger. He became evil and stuff like that, and she was actually willing to fight him and stuff. It wasn't quite like Kimberly and Tommy. If you're evil, but you're still hot, it's like, no, he's evil. He's a dick. Stop him. It felt cool. All the relationships in the Disney ones felt cool. I didn't get the relationship I kind of wanted in one season, but that's neither here nor there. However, they did a better job.
And which
Totally.
relation would that have been?
I know this is probably going to be like, ooh, or you didn't want this, but when I was watching SPD, I kind of wanted Sid and was it Sky to get together. Because I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Sky was such a boring ass tool. He was just bland, boring. I fucking hated Sky. However, in the scenes when he was with Sid, who I actually liked Sid, she was my favourite from SPD, he actually lightened up as an individual. He played around a bit more. He was more lighthearted. He was actually kind of fun in those scenes. And I was like, make that relationship. Let's make him interesting.
It would have been definitely interesting to see that one and see how it would have developed if they went through with it. Because
Oh yeah.
Sid and Sky, double S.
Yep. And it would have also been interesting in that she was the spoiled princess-ish one. He was the, I want to be the Red Ranger serious one. That just would have been so fun.
Yeah, I could see. I was rooting for that, but it never really happened.
Get in the kitchen, woman. Make me a sandwich, by God.
I could see Sky doing
Do you really
that.
want Mia to make you a sandwich?
No, not at all.
Yeah, Supreme
But
Rider.
he will taste some of her pie.
Ooh,
Ooh.
out of spite.
That leads to a weird question though. Like, did she give Jane to talk about the birds and the bees? Is that part of samurai training?
That is part of samurai training.
So, Supreme Red Ranger, what did you think about
I
this?
have to say Disney did the relationships better, except for Tom and Cat, and yes, except for Extranima and Zane too. I thought those two relationships in Saban were great, but Disney did the relationships a hell of a lot better.
And you just gave me another one of the relationships between a ranger and a non-ranger, technically. Didn't Tommy fuck Elsa?
I don't recall that happening. No.
Okay, I'm not saying he literally fucked her. I mean, it's not like, hiya! But no, it wasn't that. I mean, not like they literally fucked, but I thought there was something between them, like they started to date and there was like looks between them and shit.
No. She started dating Anton Mercer.
I could have sworn, like, when they were hanging out at the archaeological dig and stuff, like, even Kira noticed, like, chemistry between the two of them, and I sort of thought Disney were pushing it away, pushing it a bit that it was going to be Tommy and Elsa, a little bit like he really did care for her a bit.
I don't know, maybe. Can I go next?
You
What's
may.
next?
I just wanted to. I want to say, I would say Saban because, yeah, Jen, Alex, West love triangle. That is all I have to say about that.
And
Yeah.
we won't mention Power Morphicon 3.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I have to.
What did you say, Kurama?
Or he did mention. What did you mentioned? Wes, Jen, and Eric.
No, I mentioned West, Jen, Alex.
Alex. Okay.
Because she was engaged to Alex, but then he quote unquote died. And then
Yeah.
she kind of started falling in love with Wes, and then Alex was alive, and they had the whole, does she love Alex or does she love Wes? And it was this whole,
Yeah.
that was the best
I-
relationship in PR history, bar none. No offense to Tommy the Cat, but that relationship had freaking depth. And that's why I say Sabanda's relationship was better.
I actually really did like that relationship. That would have been my favorite relationship if it was not how they got together for me. I mean, Tommy and Kat, it was argued they got together a little too fast when Kimberly broke up with them. Jen and Wes, when they got together, it was like, come on, it's not even been a year. It's not even been a year. It's only been a couple of months since your fucking boyfriend was brutally murdered, and you're jumping into bed with Wes just because he looks a bit. No, at least mourn his loss. At least mourn his death for a couple of years and then move on. That felt a little too forced to me. However, when they got together, I did like it.
But that was the thing, because she had that whole emotional struggle for like 2/3 of the season before she was finally able to admit her feelings about Wes to first herself and then to Wes.
I know, but I just felt it didn't feel as natural with they had enough time to mourn it. It might be because they only had a year to shoot this.
And they only have one season.
Yeah, they only have one season. I know that, but I was just saying it was the fact for me seeing that and the fact, obviously, like we all have in our lives. I'm friends with people who have lost loved ones, who they've been married to and shit like that, or they've dated heavily and stuff. They don't fucking move back that fast. That's just too unrealistic for me. They just don't do it.
But it is though, because remember, near the end of the season, she realized that she didn't really love Alex to begin with.
I know. I know. I'm just saying. To
I
me,
don't love you. So if she really didn't love him, it wouldn't have taken as long to get over it.
And again, like I said, to me, it just felt like, no, she loved him, and then suddenly, right at the right time, it was, I didn't love him. I want to fuck this guy. It's like, no. It just felt a little more forced than it should have, based on the thing of him meant to have dying. I didn't like that part. But like I said, I did like them as a couple. I did like them as a couple very much, to the point that they'd be my number 2 couple.
Yeah, and in addition to that, going on to the next season. They also got Eric Taylor, who is one of the most loved and fanfic couples in the fandom, despite their relationship only having been established in 2 episodes. That's some damn good relationship writing. Well, that might have been a combination of both Disney and Saban, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. That about covers it for relationships, unless you guys can think of anything else to talk about in regards to relationships.
I have one topic I'd like to discuss relationship-wise, which could be a bit controversial.
Sure.
I know some people here will agree, and personally I think they should. With this day and age, with how stuff is and how everything could be more politically correct, we can be more open as a people, I think it's about time, not just lesbian but guy on guy as well. We need a homosexual relationship in Power Rangers. We need to, in kids shows, I reckon we need one to teach kids early on that it's okay to be that way.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
That would be really interesting.
Haven't they done that in Sentai?
And
Not
I feel like wasn't there at the very least a gay ranger in at some point? I feel like that happened.
I don't think so, Kurama.
there's been a pimp, but that was way back when.
Well, yeah, obviously, but okay. I for some reason I thought I remembered hearing something about there being a gay ranger. I guess I was wrong.
Now, that's
yeah.
not, not Hawkman.
I agree. We do need that.
Yeah, we definitely do need it to teach these kids that it's like what Chris, aka the Mole, said, that it's all right for you to like someone who's the same sex, like, because if you like, with this day and age, how people are becoming more accepting to the whole man with man, woman with woman relationship. So, and I think it would bring a different aspect to Power Rangers too. Like, it would bring a different spin on it, if you would say.
So with that out of the way, I think that about covers relationships. Supreme Red Ranger, if you'd like to take us out.
All right. Well, that was a great discussion. I mean, like, and please comment below what you thought on relationships. Well, I am Supreme Red Ranger, and this has been a wonderful honor to host this Vision Cast, and I want to say goodbye for now, and please view the next Vision Cast, and remember, our vision, your vision, Ranger vision.